Hey everybody, welcome back to Row Country. Today we're going to be making this Dollar Tree DIY cone gnome witch, but before we get started, I want to thank my subscribers for clicking that subscribe button, and I hope if you're new you'll stick around and do the same. So today this cone is going to be the base of our gnome witch. Now I do farmhouse, so mine is covered in twine. Yours does not need to be. We're also going to use one of these little witch hats from the Dollar Tree, as well as some of this mesh tube in both black and that neon green, as well as some of these Halloween chenille black stems. They're kind of a tinsel. Also, table tennis or golf balls, which can be found at the Dollar Tree in the toy section, a paintbrush, and some paint. We're going to use one of these little headbands in purple, also bamboo skewers, and some natural raffia, as well as some scissors. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off that little band that went around the hat, and we're going to use some black paint, and we're actually going to paint that. And we're also going to take one of these little table tennis balls out of the package, and we're going to paint that in this neon green. Now the thing about the nose, because that's what that ball is going to become, that does not need to be perfect. In fact, the worse that you paint that, the better the result, I promise. Okay, so we're going to start with this cone, and this came from the Dollar Tree. It's made of styrofoam. And again, I do farmhouse in my home, so everything is covered in twine. But you could instead use a black sock to cover your cone, and that makes the perfect foundation for your witch. So, and it's going to be a witch gnome, by the way. So we're going to take that little purple piece off of the hat. And I'm showing you here that because of the size of the Dollar Tree cone, the hat kind of comes down further on it than we want it to. And we will address that later. So right now we're just going to take off that purple part, and we're going to just take everything off of the hat. So what I ended up doing was just snipping some of this tinsel, and we're going to completely strip this hat down to its bare bones. Now that we have the base of that hat exposed, what we're going to be using is the black mesh tubing, as well as that green mesh tubing to recover it. And those spokes that are on there, we want to go ahead and trim those back. You don't want to trim them back or off completely as I did. I found actually later that using some hot glue and using the combination of that, as well as those little stems that were poking out of the hat, the mesh tubing actually held better. So my recommendation is not to cut them all the way back like I did. I did happen to miss a few, and then I wished I hadn't cut them all off. But we're going to take the black, and we're going to do the entire base of the hat. Don't worry, right now you can kind of see through that mesh tubing, but I promise you when the hat is finished, you're not going to be able to see through, and even the black through the green is not going to show through like you might think that it might. So now that we've got the base of the hat, or the rim of the hat, covered in the mesh, we've gone up the top almost all the way with that green. This is not the harvest green color. This is more of the neon green, and it just really sets everything off. Now, taking some more of this mesh, we are going to make some loops. I've made about, I don't know, 3 or 4 of each, the black and the green. And you see that there, and we're going to take some twine, and we're going to wrap that around just to keep those little loops in place, and that's actually going to be the top of the witch's hat. Now that everything is completely wrapped in twine in the bottom, and we've snipped that off or cut that off, we're going to hot glue that to the back part of the pointy tip of the hat, and we're going to take some more twine and wrap it down. Now, alternatively, you could use some of this black mesh to wrap from where we left off on the green up through to the loops. That would have been a cute thing too, but again, mine is a little farmhouse. Yours might not be, and that's totally okay. And once again, I'm just taking a look here at the location of how far down that comes, and what I've decided to do is just take some bags, shove them into that hat, and then fill that hat with a little bit of hot glue and keep those bags in place. And what that does is it raises everything up so that the hat is higher up on the gnome. Now, we're using this purple headband from the Dollar Tree. It is not as full as maybe the red or the orange ones are that I've seen and I've used, but this purple is perfect for this witch. And so all you need to do is just use a little bit of strength and peel that back off of the headband. We're going to take off the tags and the little hanging loop that was attached to it, and this will now become the beard, I guess, or actually the hair for the witch. And then there's that big nose that we painted in that neon green that is going to be on the face of this witch gnome. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make her a little broom, because what is a witch without a broom? So we're using these bamboo sticks as well as the chenille stems there, the raffia, and a little bit of twine. And all I'm doing here is just trying to figure out how big of a broom we are going to need, where the hat is in relation to where the beard will come down for the witch, and then where that broom might need to be cut off. So we just take a bamboo skewer, we kind of eyeball how far down we need to have that, we cut that off, and now we just take some twine and some of this raffia. Now, the raffia is going to be a personal preference situation. I like my broom a little bit, I guess, chunkier, but you may want yours thinner. Use what you have on hand. The raffia, I found, is the best thing to use to make this broom. You know, but you could just use twine if you don't have that and wrap that around and make maybe like a tassel, but then cut it off. So what I did is I just found a length that was appealing to me, and I folded it in half, and then I grabbed the loop and I folded it in half yet again. And then finally we have the loop at the top and some, you know, parts at the bottom that are going to need to be cut off. So right there is the loop, and what we're going to do is we're going to put some hot glue on the base of that bamboo skewer, sorry, and we're going to just really literally shove it into the center of that raffia. Once that's done, we'll take some twine and wrap that around, and then we will give this the worst haircut in the world. And the worse you cut this, the cuter it's going to turn out, I promise. And to finish off the broom, we're going to use this one little chenille stem, and we'll wrap that around the bottom there to cover that twine, and it just really turns out super cute. So we're just bringing everything back in to kind of determine where to make that little haircut on that broom. and I figured that it would be best if it just kind of hit the bottom of the cone altogether. And so here comes that terrible haircut. I'm not cutting evenly, but kind of in different areas, a little shorter, a little longer. And all you want to do is take your fingers and just mess with it, really and truly get in there and push it down. And oh my gosh, isn't that most adorable? Oh my goodness. So what we want to do now is grab that little buckle and go ahead and add some hot glue and attach it back to the hat. I determined that at the top there, that would be great. I want to show you how terrible the painting job is on this little ball, but that is the nose for this gnome, and the worst paint job in the world ends up being the cutest nose on a witch I have ever seen. At this point, we're ready to start doing a dry fit. This is kind of how I want things to work out, but I want to make sure that the hair or the beard for this gnome and the nose don't interfere with the hat. But I also want to make sure that it is appealing to me. So I'm just kind of determining where to go ahead and hot glue this. And it was really more of a V or a U shape on the front of this cone in order to get the hair in the location where I wanted or needed it to be. And so we just used some hot glue on the back, on the edges of that. And then I'm going to just sort of make a place, almost a part in this hair for the witch's nose. And we're just kind of holding the hat in place to determine where to make that indentation or the part in the hair. We'll go ahead and open that up with our fingers, and you can see there the fabric that holds all of this hair together just kind of shows itself. And what you want to do is really load up a good amount of hot glue on this nose, and we'll place it just in that space where we expose the underlying part of the fabric that holds that hair together. And you'll just want to hold that there for a little bit, just in place until it's completely secure. And what a mess this hair ends up being, but you want to mess with it a little bit first before you lay it back down in the position that it ends up being. Now, did you see the profile on that? That is one honkin' green nose for this witch, but oh my goodness, I just think it's so funny. Now this hat we're going to end up gluing in place as well. I'm just going to put some hot glue in there, and we'll shove the cone up in there. But I want you to know that this is not going on straight up and down perpendicular. It is kind of going back, leaning towards the back, I guess, on this, just so that it fits over the nose on this witch. And there's her profile again. Oh my gosh, she has just turned out so cute. Now there are, you could go left or right with this broom. I've seen people take a broom and put it on top of the hat, but here she is in her glory, this adorable Dollar Tree cone gnome witch that we were able to put together today. Oh my goodness, I think it is absolutely adorable, and I think she turned out so, so cute. I thank you so much for sticking around for my video today. If you're new, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you as part of the YouTube family here in Row Country. Until next time, have a great day. Bye.